Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tileshu tailam dadhiniva sarpihi.
Tileshu tailam dadhaniva sarpihi.
Not dadhi. Tileshu tailam dadhiniva sarpihi.
Tileshu tailam dadhiniva sarpihi.
Apasrotassu
Apasrotassu
Aranishu chagnihi.
Aranishu chagnihi.
Evamatma
Evamatma
Atmani grihyate sau.
Atmani grihyate sau.
Satye nainam
Satye nainam
tapasa yonu pashyati.
Tapasayo nupashyati.
Sarvavyapinamatmanam
Sarvavyapinamatmanam
Kshire sarpirivarpitam.
Kshire sarpirivarpitam.
Atmavidyatapo moolam
Atmavidyatapo moolam
Tad brahmopanishad param.
Tad brahmopanishad param.
Tad brahmopanishad param.
Tad brahmopanishad param.
Yeah. These two are taken together because the verb is shared. And what is, we have seen the first line fully, talking about the all-pervasiveness of the Atma from various angles. And these examples that were given, you remember? What were the examples? Oil in the sesame seed, and there is that kind of an all-pervasiveness. And then the butter, and then the water, which the srotassu ambu, that underground water, you see. So each of these has a certain, it's not, these examples are not random. They have a certain, suggestibility about Atma. It's very fantastic actually if you look at it deeply. So the first thing is what? The oil and the seed. And the oil and the seed, then you see that all pervasiveness. Even though the theme here is all pervasiveness, but it's all pervasiveness from different angles. So the oil in the seed, there is no part of the seed which is not oil. That's how they got the idea of these soft gels and caplets. Nowadays, they have these liquid filled pain medication or anything. I don't like to give that example, but for lack of other examples, fish oil capsules and things like that, it's like there is a covering and inside that the medicine is filled. So that's what is called soft gels. And that's how they got the original soft gel is the seed. The seed which has the oil everywhere. It's not that you only have to press one area and that's the only area that will come. How are you going to decide with a sesame seed? It's the size of a little pinhead, smaller than a pinhead. And so therefore, there it's the all permeability. And the other three examples are there, but the other two examples, the second example is what? First is Tileshu Tailam, and then in the milk or the curds, the presence of the butter is there. But you need a little churning. So here, where is the Atma? All over. It's everywhere. It's outside, inside, purastat, paschat, up, above, down, below, in the body, outside the body, everywhere. And then we have been, using these two themes, churning and burning. Correct? So that churning is here. And what is that churning? I have to produce the Atma like producing butter. No, Atma is not a product. Kidhar se produce? What are you going to produce? You cannot produce Atma. You can only reproduce because it's already there. You cannot produce. It's already there. It's a self-existent fact. So the churning is going to be very important for us, on two ways. One part of the churning we have already discovered and discussed at length in this Upanishad, which is what is that kind of churning we have discussed at length? Don't say I forgot, because then that, yeah. Adhikarit, no, more in the sense of the unconscious. We talked about the milky ocean, churning, all these things, the unconscious. So that the processing of the unconscious is one kind of churning. That is, what is that? That is one aspect, an important aspect of antahkarana shuddhi. A very deep aspect. And, naischalyam. And then, naischalyam means the fixing of the antahkarana and the allowing the various problems with the unconscious to dissociate from that strategically. You cannot say this unconscious belongs to the neighbor. No, you have to own it, clean it, and then disown it. That is the thing. That is the thing. You have to own it, embrace it, clean it up, and then say, this is also mithya. But that action, without doing that, the mithyatvam is not established. So this is something fantastic to know. And with any identity, you own it briefly, it has a certain, on the level of the transactional reality, to identify as a jiva is very useful in the beginning. Oh, I'm a hapless, hopeless, helpless jiva. Where is Ishvara? There is a certain kind of a help there. It's a seeker. It's to identify as a jiva, a helpless jiva is a precursor to discovering the seeker within. But having discovered the seeker within, you don't remain a seeker. Correct? Yeah. You have to disown that, you have to grow beyond, transcend the seeker to understand that what is sought is right here. That is the whole thing. So you own it up, clean it up, and then you say, I don't even know what that is. So you cannot do that in the beginning, because it will create a horrible, it will compound the alienation. Yeah. So now, so this is fantastic really. So here, the all-pervasiveness of the Atma, in the original soft gel called the tilam, and then we have the churning in the curds and the yogurt example, curds and the butter example. We have the churning, and the churning, one part of the churning we have discussed, the other part of the churning remains to be discussed. I will do that. And then we have the the waters, and the water is what? You have to tap into the ground to get the water. And here, if without reading too much into this, we can say the first two examples are of Nirgunam Brahma, which is to be known. Yeah, which two? The seed and the churning. What I have to do in order to understand myself as that nameless, formless Brahman. And then the tapping is the tapping into the grace of Ishvara. Here we can say Sagunam Brahma, discovering the bhakta within, and that is part of the whole, study, Karma Yoga. Discovering the devotee within, tapping into the waters. And then finally the burning of the karma, Aranishu Agnihi, the burning also we have discussed at length. And the water is kind of nice example, because here the tapping and the digging to find that ground spring, that underground spring, that ground water, there is a sense of thirst and the fulfillment of thirst. And that's what happens. The alienation is the thirst which goes with the discovery of Ishvara and the inviting of Ishvara into one's life, why you have to invite Ishvara? Because nobody comes without invitation. That's why. Yeah, who will come? Even to your own house, you have to invite. Nobody is going to come without invitation. Yeah. Those Atithi days are gone. What is Atithi?
Guest.
Why guest? Comes without invitation. Yeah. Comes without giving an appointment. Well, those days are gone. Now no one comes, And Ishvara also you have to say, hey, Ishvara, Plutaswara, yeah. You have to call. And that calling is that tapping. And Adi Shankara elsewhere says, Aparam chet, dhyayeta, param chet, jnayeta. Kathopanishad Bhashya, very beautiful. So if we are talking of Aparam Brahma, what is this Aparam Brahma? Not ultimate Brahma. Oh, there is such a thing. There are two Brahmans, ultimate and non-ultimate. Like frisbee game, Ultimate frisbee, okay, yeah. So, there are, how many Brahmans are there? One. So what is this Param, Aparam? With regard to the Jagat, with regard to the Jagat, the manifestation of Ishvara, the status of being Ishvara here is called Aparam, meaning there is something even beyond that. So Aparam Chet, meaning if we are talking about Ishvara, then Ishvara is an object of what? Worship, correct? And if we are talking of Param, the content of Ishvara, what makes Ishvara Ishvara, correct? If we are talking of that Param, what makes the Jiva Jiva, what makes Ishvara Ishvara, if we are talking of that Mahavakya oneness, then no amount of worship is going to help. What do you have to do? Jnayeta, it is something to be known. So you see there is some kind of a nice pun he has made. Aparam chet dhyayeta, then param chet jnayet, may one know. So here both param and aparam are folded into this, the curds and the butter and the waters. The tapping is like the tapping into the grace, that anugraha of Ishvara to be known. Very beautiful. If you really look at it, there's a lot of subtle things come up along with the butter. This is another form of the churning of the Upanishad. So, this is what it is. So, you tap into the grace of Ishvara, you seek the help of Ishvara to know yourself as Ishvara. That is the whole thing. So then these 4 examples are very apt. They are not just, random plucked from some, turbid imagination. No. This is, each one is extremely meaningful and extremely well strung together. And then and then especially the whole thing about the butter one. That is, I think, really it's the key here. Because, Tileshu Tailam, we are talking of Nirguna, And then the last one, Araneshu Agnihi, we are again talking of Nirguna, the potential, Hiranyagarbha we are talking of. And the other 2, sandwiched in between, show the means and the way, both. Show the way and also talk about the reality. In a way, it is like a Mahavakya. It's Mahavakya-esque here. And because when you talk of the churning of the curds, again it becomes a very interesting metaphor. And what is that metaphor? If you look at Krishna times, because butter, you cannot discuss butter without discussing Krishna. It's not fair, okay? Yeah. It's not fair to who? Maybe Krishna, of course. You have to bring in Krishna if you're discussing butter. Otherwise, it's an incomplete discussion. So then, you find that Krishna has a particular name, Navanita Chora. Chora means?
Thief.
Thief. Navanita is butter. Butter thief, that's his name. Everyone in the neighborhood says, here comes the bad butter thief. Cute, but bad. And he was a horrible liar because, he would leave butter footprints everywhere. And when Mother Yashoda used to be mad at him and say, Look at you, what you have done. There are many stories like this. And then what would he say? He would say, main nahi makhan khayo. I didn't eat the butter at all. I'm actually a victim here. I'm a victim of horrible neighborhood bullying. Really? What happened? All these big bad boys living all over the place, they ate the butter. You see, I'm so small, how will I climb? The butter used to be up there. How will I climb? Look how small my feet and hands are. So they ate the butter. But then you are the one leaving butter footprints. Yeah, I'm fixing to tell you that. I'm telling you this. Wait. They smeared my face and my hands and, palms and soles of the feet. They framed me as the butter thief. I'm not the butter thief. That's one excuse he gave. Another time he was caught red-handed. He used the backs of the so-called bullies to climb into that hanging pot of butter. And the mother found him, and that lady of the house quickly went and got the mother who was milking the cows and said, look what your darling boy is doing in my house. And he was half in and half out of this pot. He was actually submerged into the pot. And then they caught him, How are you going to talk out of your way out of this, Krishna? How are you going to do that? You bad boy, look, you cannot blame it on anybody because nobody is there. And you cannot say the cat came and the wind came and broke the pot. Here you are with half your body inside this pot. Believe it or not, Krishna had an excuse. What does he say? He says, some of our cows have gone missing. Cow? Come on. Cow in the pot of butter? No, I'm actually looking for the calf because it may have found its way there, he says, and gets out of it somehow. Doesn't get out of it, but he's so cute, what are you going to do? And of course the teenager is going to ask, the second gen Hindu teenager, second generation, is going to ask, I don't like to worship Krishna because he's a thief, mom. Dad, he did bad things and you tell me not to steal things and then not to lie on top of that. Here he has done both. Really, Krishna lying? Krishna thieving? No, these are stories told. And the butter is really karma phala. Yeah, karma phalani chorayati. The one who steals away papa punya. Yes. For which you have to work very hard. You just work very hard. And then so much karma, little bit of ball of punya you get. Mahata ayasena, with great effort, you get a little ball, a butter ball of punya. And then you have to keep it out of reach of the likes of Krishna and other things. You have to, in those days there was no refrigeration, there was no way of keeping the butter, but you have to put it in a porous pot, or, in a kind of a specially baked porous pot where all the water would be drained and the butter would be there. And then it had to be hung, where the breeze flowed. And so therefore it would remain for a couple of, maybe 2-3 days it would remain. And like the punya, what would happen after 3 days? It would start to smell. Yeah, because that is why it's called phala. The word phalam, if you do the vyutpatti, what is vyutpatti? Origin. Yeah, you parse the word. Phalgutaya liyate iti phalam. That which gets demolished like even the fruit. Yeah, you keep peach. I have a very good example. It's not so peachy keen. You keep peach on this thing first day too raw because they have picked it up, too quickly in the market. Then you wait another day. Then you wait another day. And then you try to pick it up, only the skin comes. The rest of it goes. Phalgutaya liyate. That's what happens to karma phala. This collected karma phala really, it vanishes. Whether it's papa or punya, it is just exhausted. And then if you try to live your life according to karma phala, it is exhausting. Karma never gets exhausted. It's just exhausting. And so here the whole churning business is that I cannot but churn, because this churning is part of my behavior. So how to churn strategically and methodically, and how to tap into the grace while churning strategically, so that the punya that is formed, this ball of punya, is immediately used up for fulfilling this pursuit of knowledge. That is the strategic churning, which the second line is going to talk about. So much fun. I love this Upanishad. So much fun. Then we have Evam Atmana Atmani Grihyate Asau. Asau means who? Asau means this fellow. And the Prakritam, the one under discussion, this person, the seeking jiva, Grihyate means grabs a hold of. What? Atma. You know how to catch the Atma. Lesson number 1. What kind of a net do I take? You know, butterfly net, Atma net. Yeah, well, you know, the catching Grihyate means understands, not catches literally. From grah to grasp. Grah becomes grih. So, Grihyate asau means you grasp it, and grasp is metaphorically used, like your grasp of the knowledge, your grasp of the language. So that kind of grasping we are talking about. You cognitively grasp it. How? Where? Atmani. Not outside. In the locus of this grasping is yourself. What do you understand? You. How do you understand? By yourself. That's what it is. You understand yourself. That self-understanding, Atmana, Atmani, Grihyate, Asau. The one who does that, then Enam, Atmanam, this Atma, Tapasa, Yaha, Anupashyati. You know, the one who sees this Atma is the one who grasps this Atma. So what is the difference between seeing and grasping? No difference. Seeing is as good as grasping. Seeing is being. Knowing is being. So the one who knows the Atma, like that which is pervading everything, like the examples given above. The examples also have a secret methodology which we are going to unfold. So the one who knows that, and the one who knows the Atma as centered on the self, not other than the self. So Atmani should not be taken inside the Atma, but as a locus, Saptami, you know, as centered on the self. And then what happens? Yaha Anupashyati, the one who sees this, how does this person see it, you know? And a few things are given. Satyena. And then tapasa. 2 upayas are given. Upaya means remedies, suggestions. One is, and those suggestions are in the instrumental case, because tapasa anupashyati satyena cha anupashyati. Yeah. Why it is not tapasena? Tapas is the word. Like maruta, tapasa. So, tapasa yaha anupashyati, satyena cha yaha anupashyati, asau, you know, atmanam, atmani, grihyate. So, this is very nice, because the methodology is given here. 2 things are given. Satya bhashanam. Satya here is not sat, all pervasive. You know, sat. No. Here Satya means a particular lifestyle given to truth. spoken and practiced. We'll see that. I'm just looking at it here. Then we have tapasa. Tapas means austerities centered on action, because you cannot have austerity without action. Either the action has to be mental, if you are doing something, mentally, physical, or verbal. Kaikam, vachikam, manasam, karma. So the austerities are always based on action. Truth is based on action because it's centered on vak, the organ of speech, which is a karmendriya, organ of action, and it is also an attitude with which I lead my life. You see? So it's not just an action, it is also an attitude. Both are there. So with these, the person gains the Atma, grasps the Atma as though one is really catching hold of it. Like hasta malaka, like the berry in the hand, And then what? And then it says, further it says, elaborating on this, sarva vyapinam atmanam. So, kim anupashyati, the object of anupashyati is given in the next verse. Sarva vyapinam atmanam anupashyati. So, gains the all pervasive Atma as the truth of oneself. This is a Mahavakya right here. Gains the all pervasive Atma, which was described above as Tileshu Tailam Dadhiniva Sarpihi, etc. Gains the Atma as the truth of oneself, and then the same thing is given again. Kshire Sarpihi Iva Arpitam. Arpitam, placed, offered up, present in the milk, as though present in the milk, like even the butter is present in the milk, so as it were the Atma is present in the Jagat. Everywhere. There is nothing that is not Atma, the one who knows. And then what happens? And how does the one know? The one knows through Atma Vidya. Very simple. Atma Vidya. What is Atma Vidya? That much we should know, really.
Self-knowledge.
Abba. Okay. Yes. Very good. Atma Vidya is self-knowledge. So, self-knowledge, and then tapaha. The tapas is here again repeated, And so, therefore, that means what? If there is the same word repeated in the Veda, we look for a different meaning. Why?
Because the Veda doesn't repeat itself.
Veda does not repeat itself. Punarakti dosha, the fallacy of redundancy, is not there. So already here tapas was put first, tapasa, instrumental case, and here tapaha, the same thing is there. So the Veda does not repeat itself except to show a completion of a chapter or something like that, but not otherwise. So we will look at what this second tapaha is. Moolam means, here we are just looking at the words. Moolam means the root of which. The root of which is the self-knowledge and tapas. Self-knowledge and tapas. And then what? Tad Brahma. And what is that? Leading to Tad Brahma Upanishad Param. That Brahman alone, which is Param Brahma, which is the source of this Upanishad, which is revealed by this Upanishad. Param Shreyaha, we have to take that which, from the standpoint of the human endeavor, that which is the ultimate goal, that which, gaining which there is nothing more to be gained, that is called Param Brahma. That is where this Upanishad, that Upanishad alone leads one there, and that is what one has to, one has to understand. So then, this is what the whole thing is. Very beautiful verse and a fitting conclusion, fitting conclusion. So, Moolam here means the source of this knowledge. The source of Atma Vidya, the source of this Brahman is Atma Vidya, and tapas is the source of which. That is the Upanishad, that is the declaration of the Upanishad, that is the ultimate truth of this Upanishad. And that is also the goal of this Upanishad. That is the Upanishad is also the means for this Param Brahma. That is what it is. So then, the first tapas is, we have to say, because these are the two themes which we have been dealing with. The first tapas here is more in the sense of Chitta Naischalyam. Yeah. What is that?
You're focused on.
How do you get Chitta Naischalyam? Where do you go to purchase it? Can you get it online?
No.
No? Okay. Then what do you do? How do you get Chitta Naischalyam?
Through the six qualities, meditation.
Meditation. Habba. Okay. Meditation. We have talked about this at length. Yeah. We have talked of this at length because the whole theme of Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Naischalyam. So one tapas is talking of Chitta Shuddhi, the second tapas is talking of Chitta Naischalyam. Chitta Shuddhi Satya Bhashanena Chitta Naischalyam, through dhyanam and other such things. Yeah. What is Chitta Naischalyam? First let us understand that. Do you remember what that is? No?
The focused.
Concentration, focus, where the mind does not waver and wander in a habitual pattern of distraction. One end of the continuum is Chitta Naischalyam, other end is ADD. That is what we are talking of. Yeah. ADD, ADHD, all these things, that is total absence of Chitta Naischalyam. So for this knowledge to take root, for this knowledge to become one's own, these two things, these two-pronged tapas is very important. Chitta Naischalyam I have talked about a lot here because the earlier verses were on meditation. And seeing as that has been forgotten, I am going to say that a little more. Chitta Naischalyam, Nischalata, Nischalasya Bhava, Naischalya, and the state of non-movingness, Na Chalati iti Nischalaha, that which does not move. And what are we talking of? The mind. We are talking of a non-moving mind. How can the mind not move? The mind's job is to move everywhere, correct? The mind will not move if you are asleep, and the mind will not move if somebody is in a coma or what is called PVS, permanent vegetative state, where there is some significant brain injury and the mind is not moving. Otherwise, the mind is always a moving mind. Kshanika vrittihi, it moves from thought to thought all the time. And when Arjuna was given a baby meditation lesson in chapter 6, he protests. He protested immediately. He said, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramadhi balavadridam tasyaham dushkaram manye. It's very, tasyaham nigraham manye vayoho iva sudushkaram. This is very difficult. The mind moves, he says. Chanchalam. Not just chalam. Chalam plus chalam plus chalam. Chanchalam. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Oh Krishna, it's nice for you to sit here and then give me a lesson in meditation. Okay, sit like this and then put your arms like this and then focus, do trataka. What is trataka? Focus on the end of the end of the nose. Or if that's not possible, focus on the toes, whatever it is, and then you sit, and then kinchidapi na chintayet, he says that don't think of anything. Bhagavan Krishna says in the beginning of the 6th chapter, Dishascha anavalokayan samankaya shirogrivam dharayam achalam sthiraha sampreksha nasikagram tvam swam, your own nasika, not at the end of other people's nose. Don't look at the tip of the neighbor's nose, your own nose, okay? Yeah. And then don't have darting eyes inside the lids, Dishascha anavalokayan. And then you sit like this, kinchidapi chintayet, he says, don't think of anything. And Arjuna, he stopped listening a while ago. And Arjuna says, wait a minute, Krishna, this mind is going all over the place. I can barely listen to this. What rubbish. Don't think of anything. Then sit quietly. Develop chittana. This is chittana ischalyam, okay? It's an impossibility. He says, I will do, if you ask me to catch hold of some air and bring it to you, I will do that. It's easier than I'm catching hold of the mind. The ways of the mind are just wayward. That's what the mind is. It's easier to catch hold of a moving wind than the moving mind. Krishna agrees. Asamshayam Mahabaho. Yes, you great mighty armed one who cannot meditate. There is a little sarcasm there. You may be mighty armed and all these armies under you, but then the thoughts, the army of thoughts, you have no control over. You mighty armed fellow, what are you doing? Asamshayam hi Mahabaho. Manaha. Durnigraham chalam. Yes, I understand that the mind is moving all the time. And then I also understand that it is, durnigraham, difficult to have a say over this mind. And he says, let me give you a little, what's that? Tip. A little tip of how to, you're not trying to control the mind. That is like, catching hold of the air. You're not trying to control the mind. You're trying to have a say over the ways of your thinking. And the meditation is the best way because you're giving the mind a job to do. So what is going to be your first thought? Om Namah Shivaya. What's going to be your second thought? Om Namah Shivaya. What's going to be your third thought? Om Namah Shivaya. What's going to be your fourth thought? Is anything happening yet? See how the mind went? And then you have to bring it back. The fifth thought brings it back. No, I shouldn't do this. That is the fifth thought. The sixth thought is, okay, Om Namah Shivaya. Then the sixth, the seventh, eighth, you are very good. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, look, I'm meditating so nicely. Gone. And then the 10th thought again has to be, okay. Nasvadayet rasam tatra. Nisango pragyaya bhavet. You think of Gaudapadacharya in Mandukya, and then you bring the mind back again, and then Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Yesterday meditation was very good. Today it's very distracting. You see, this is no longer meditation, it's a judgment on the meditation. So then you bring it back again, Om Namah Shivaya. How many times I am bringing it back? Bring it back as many times as it goes. Because if you don't bring it back, that's not meditation. That has another name, sleep. Okay? Only when you bring it back, it's meditation. That's your job. So then this part of the meditation has got a name according to Bhagavan Krishna. And that name is Abhyasa. What is Abhyasa? Repetition. Abhyasa is repetition until it becomes your first nature. Because it is really your first nature. The quietude that you seek. So repetition. So he gives him a formula, a little tip. He says, I understand. Manaha durnigraham chalam, I understand this completely. But what I am trying to tell you is that use these two tips. First tip is abhyasena to kaunteya. Kaunteya, tadhita, which means Kunti Putra, Mama's boy. Because he was complaining, you see. Yeah. You Mama's boy, here use abhyasa. Abhyasena grihyate. And you see, this is such a beautiful thing. There is the samanvaya here. Because here also the same word grihyate asau, that same grihyate is used here. And the same grihyate is used there. That is the beauty of this teaching. That same verb grihyate. Here also grihyate. Atma vidya tapol moolam. Grihyate anupashyati. And there also grihyate. Abhyasena tu kaunteya grihyate. And then what? The next tip is vairagyena cha grihyate. Have vairagya. Oh, but how to have vairagya when I meditate? I thought those were two different things. Because so it's okay. How to have vairagya when I meditate? Because I thought vairagya means I have to weed through my belongings and give things away. That is vairagya. How to meditate while doing that? Now, this is vairagya with reference to the thoughts. When thoughts get hoarded, here you have a case of no place for Bhagavan, because the mind is full of all kinds of inconsequential thoughts, dead-end thoughts, thoughts upon thoughts which crowd the intellect, which crowd the mind, and which leave no space for anything else. And you see, the thoughts are very crafty, because you see, the thought is just kshanika. One thought, one thought is okay. I can indulge in that thought. The author of the Panchadashi says that the first fancy that you indulge in is the last fancy, really. Because then what happens is that the fanciful thought builds upon fanciful thoughts, and before long you have castles in the air. You have built all these castles, and then you are worried about how to hire a caretaker. How to hire a caretaker for these castles? Where? In the air. And that becomes a source of stress and anxiety, because the castles that are not yet there already now need a caretaker. And the caretaker will not come by himself. Then he needs a wife. So you have to, bring him a wife. And the wife will say, oh, I'm so lonely. I think I need a pet dog. And the dog, of course, is bored. So it needs a cat to chase. What does the cat need? Mouse. And the mouse needs some cheese. Paneer, Indian cheese. And then for the cheese you need milk. Now we are back to the churning. You see? This is the mental samsara. Samsara starts here. And that one thought itself is enough. It can lead you to that. So that's why it is interrupted and brought back. And what you do with the meditation is, when in the process of meditation, when you train yourself to sit for 1 minute and do this Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 1 minute meditation. Oh, that's enough? Yes, for a start. Then after that you can slow increments. 1 minute twice a day, 1 minute 3 times a day. You can even do it in office. People check out for longer than that. So you can check in for 1 minute. You'll have better productivity, really. Then if you survive and succeed, then you do, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like that. You slowly build up the tolerance. And then what happens is that when you don't meditate also, the mind doesn't go to build the castles in the air. The Panchadashi writer's name for this is Manorajya, a mental, whole kingdom, mental kingdom. So therefore, one tapas, the second one I think is better, yields to this, because the first one is kept along with Satya Bhashanam. So the second tapas we can take in terms of the focus, meditation. So this is austerity because it's difficult. The natural way of the mind, which naturally puts you in unnatural samsara. The natural way of the mind. Why do you call it a natural way? Because the mind is made that way so that you can cognize discrete objects without, without having some kind of a overload. Like you see first a book, right? You see the book first, and then after that you see a stack of pots on the book, and then on the pots you see a flower, and on the flower you see, something else. So this is not the state of your mind, correct? With all these collected junk, one after the other. Then on top of that you see an elephant. You can imagine what will happen, So therefore, and then everything will come tumbling down. No. The mind is wiped clean so you can see things in motion and you cognize them, and so that's why it's got the speed of light. Really it goes so fast. You want to go to Kashi? Think of Kashi, you're there. You're in Kashi right now. Kashi is not, we're not talking of the cereal you can buy. Yeah, there is one, Rama, there is one cereal called Kashi. Yeah. And we are talking of the place, Varanasi, yes. Sacred place. So that is, you think of that, you're already there. And you want to go somewhere else, you think of that, you're there. Chidambaram, you want to go, some another temple, site, think of that, you're there. This is the beauty of the mind, is that it moves so fast, and it has to move so fast, otherwise you will become a manda. What's manda? Dull fellow. Slow. Yes. You don't want to be that. Like you ask the person a question today and then next week the answer will come. That's ridiculous. You want to be quick. And the mind is both a blessing and as well as it has the latent seeds of being a curse. But those seeds have to be completely not, you don't let those seeds germinate. Yeah, the seeds of the non-blessing, you don't let it germinate. By giving a place and a time, and by making the mind go in a certain way that you want it to go, having a say over the ways of the mind. This is what is called Chitta Naischalyam. And this is an important prerequisite for this knowledge. That's an inner job, inside job. Why is it the prerequisite? Why should the mind be focused for this knowledge? Huh? Why? Huh? What happens if I have the mind going all over the place, while the teacher is teaching? What will happen? Nothing. That's all. Yes, nothing will happen. You have to be able to follow the argument. You have to be able to follow the argument in and through all the jokes and peppered with stories and everything, and then the teaching style is purposefully meandering. Somebody came and told me, this is a very interesting story, speaking of meandering. Somebody said, I wish you would stick to the point. I wish you would stick to the point. It's so hard to follow. You say one story and then you go to another story and everything. If you want to talk about Atma, talk about Atma. Why are you giving all these illustrations? And then the person proceeded to give some teaching tips. And you have to teach, you have to not go off the point. And these tips were given by some professor in a book, And so that is the whole thing. The professor may have, to teach about anatma, that's very good. You don't stray, you just, talk about, exactly, if you're talking of you don't stray from the subject matter because, it will, the concentration liquefies and then it, the brain liquefies and is unable to focus. And then you have to sort of keep in view people's limitations, and you talk to the people keeping in view their limitations. That is Anatma talks. Atma talks, you talk to people keeping in view the limitlessness. And whatever you talk about is Atma alone. Really. And nobody, no Vedanta teacher sits here and plans, okay, after this I'm going to tell this joke, and then after this I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. I better have a few stories, because what if the hour is going away and then I don't know how to fill up the time. No Vedanta teacher thinks like this. You sit, it comes, whatever comes you talk, that's all, and whatever comes is pertinent. You trust that whatever comes is pertinent. And then how do you know what will come and all? Because there is a certain way in which you have seen your teacher teach, you have seen how it is unfolded, and then it had an impact on you, correct? Yeah. So it had an impact on you, and you use the same methodology that was tried and tested before. You don't even use it, you allow it to be used. You allow it to use your body, mind, sense complex and allow it to come out in however way it comes out. That is the whole thing. So this meandering style is a purposeful and a deliberate style deployed by the Vedanta teacher to hone the mind when it is least suspecting, to first knock off the doubter, to knock off the knower. I know this, yes, I have listened to this before, yes, I know this, to knock off the knower, and when the mind is least suspecting, the Mahavakya comes and delivers the Akhandakara Vritti. What is that? That non-dual Vritti, that non-duality, that knowledge of non-duality, it just comes and permeates, is palpable in the entire room, and through the virtual reality as well. It is palpable. That moment is understandable, and it is noted, and it is to be noted, and it is to be gloated upon. It is wonderful. It's so nice. And so the meanderings are really as though they are not really meanderings. Those are all structured ways in which to allow the mind to get to a place of quietude. So some chitta naishchalyam you are already getting in the classroom itself. Yeah. Because to be able to follow along and not lose the thread requires chitta naishchalyam, and ironically is also a practice of chitta naishchalyam. If you are able to follow the class and concentrate and focus on it completely, that is 1 hour of meditation for free, without even knowing you have meditated, for free. Without any ayasa, you have meditated. That much attention has to be paid. And how will you pay that much attention if that wherewithal is not there? So you have to focus in order to focus in the class, you have to focus outside of the class. This is chitta naishchalyam. So that distracting thoughts of, will I ever get this knowledge? Oh, here she goes again talking of Atma Brahman, and oh, come on, this is all done before. I have been studying Vedanta for so long, kya hua, kuch nahi, nothing has happened. All these thoughts are just quelled. Yeah, you suspend them. You learn the ability to say, not going there, come back here. You put the soft floodlight, the flashlight of the witness onto the thought, so that the thought just scurries away like a cockroach when you turn on the light. That's what happens. Cockroaches thrive in the dark. And they are having a party in the middle of the room. Yeah. And then you open the door, a few, quick ones already are gone. But the other ones are saying, oh, let them come, we'll see. Strength is in numbers, let's stay. They're all staying. They're still having the few crumbs, and they are finishing their party. And then you come in the hallway and you turn on the light. That's it. They scurry into various crevices. They just go, they disappear. And they do come back again. But they are gone for now, because that same thing, the light of that witness, that light of consciousness which is in the form of the witness, that soft light, meaning the light of the observer, comes and dismisses all these cockroach-like dirty, unhygienic thoughts based on ragadveshas, feeding off the crumbs of insecurity and feeding off the crumbs of hopelessness and despair. You disband them. You just completely disband them, and then you practice it as long as it's necessary. That is called abhyasa. And then the second tip that was given was by Lord Krishna. Abhyasa and abhyasa and vairagya. Very good. Vairagya. So what is vairagya here? Vairagya is the ability to suspend the thoughts, having a sense of dispassion with regard to the thoughts. This thought came, and then you watch it like the leaves falling in a moving stream. The moving stream is the ever-present mind, the witness, which is always in the present. And then the leaf falls, you don't follow where the leaf is being taken by the stream. You are right now at this place in the stream, and now at this place, this place, this place. So whatever falls and is taken away, so the thoughts fall softly into the stream of consciousness. And consciousness is an unending stream. It sustains the thoughts, transcends the thoughts, like even the leaves that fall into a moving river. You don't focus on the movement, you focus on that which is stationary, achala, kutastha, nischala. And when you do that, then the mind just cannot but obey, cannot but stay. So you have vairagya in connection with the thoughts. You have vairagya. With reference to the thoughts, you have vairagya. You drop the thought. Another thought comes, but this is a harmless thought. I mean, I know this, I know this part of the talk. I have listened to this before. This is a harmless thought. I can have a little fancy, I can go into a little thing of fancy and come back. No, I bring it back. And the Atma is ever new. We have seen that. And this Atma that is ever new, I learn to focus on it. I become ever new and ever present to focus on this ever new Atma. That is that Akhandakara, the ever new mind meeting the ever new Atma. Very beautiful. Yes. And then, lot more is there to discuss. What is there? We have to discuss the second tapas and Satya Bhashanam and the Atma Vidya, etc. And then, we will do that next week, correct? Next week there is class? Yes, we will do that. We will stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Shri Hari. Any questions are there? Yeah, that is what is the first tapas. Naishchalyam, Chitta Naishchalyam. One meaning, the second tapas is Chitta Naishchalyam. And then that is what is Vairagya with reference to the thoughts. We are only looking right now, we have been only seeing Antaranga Sadhanani, the sadhanas or practices for inward practices. Okay? Yeah. Next week we will see the Bahiranga Sadhana for Chitta Shuddhi. Yeah, thank you for your email, Judy. Yeah. It will pass. Everything will pass. You are okay. Any other? It's Pujya Swamiji is the expert. Yeah. His grace. It's all His grace. I don't think there are any questions here. Okay.